She won't tell you the truth, she'll show it. Her eyes, her pauses, the way she laughs when no one else is watching, they reveal everything. If you know how to read them, you'll never chase, beg, or guess again. Watch this video till the end, and you'll read any woman like a headline. Instantly. You're not crazy. Yes, she's hard to understand. Yes, she's been playing games, and you've been left doubting your own mind. But this stops today. And if you want to completely transform your life and relationships with women, stay tuned. Because I'm building what no one dared to before, the Stoic Relationship Blueprint. The most brutally honest, psychologically sharp, action-based relationship guide ever made for men. It's not just an ebook, it's the answer, and it's dropping very soon. Because modern relationships are war zones masked as partnerships. She's been taught to test, to withhold, to manipulate, and you've been trained to apologize for breathing. And without this blueprint, you will keep getting blindsided, lied to, and discarded. Comment, no more confusion, if you're ready to read women with zero confusion. Number 1. Watch her eye contact. When a woman locks eyes with you, even for a brief second longer than what feels casual, it's a message encoded in something ancient, deeper than language, sharper than words. It isn't just about attraction. It's about who holds attention, who commands presence, and who stirs curiosity. You've likely been in a room where everyone was talking, music was playing, lights dimmed low, and yet one person's glance across the space had the power to make everything else fade. That glance wasn't accidental. It was purposeful, even if it came with a shy retreat the moment you noticed. When a woman looks at you, then looks away, and does this again, she's not being random. She's calculating your awareness. Do you notice the nuance in how she looks? Does she maintain eye contact when she speaks to you about serious things, or when it's light-hearted? If she glances to the side often, is she distracted or guarded? It matters whether she blinks rapidly or slowly, whether her pupils dilate slightly when she's near you. Her eyes will tell you things her lips never will. But you must be calm enough to observe it without being emotionally reactive. A Stoic man remains centered even in the face of beauty and uncertainty. He watches without needing to respond instantly, and this stillness is what allows him to understand. Ask yourself, does she look at you when you speak, or does she only watch when you're silent? Does she glance at your mouth or your eyes when you talk? This isn't about making judgments. It's about reading the pages that are already written. Eyes betray affection, disdain, envy, curiosity, and doubt. They linger where desire lives. When she maintains contact while holding a subtle smile, you are either the one she respects, admires, or is testing. If she avoids it entirely, yet stays present in your space, she may be hiding something deeper, an insecurity, a longing, or a conflict she hasn't resolved. Understand this. Eye contact is power. It's also exposure. People show their truth not when they speak, but when they believe they are safe enough not to need words. The man who can sit still in her gaze and hold his own doesn't need to ask for respect. He commands it without a word. And once you can read her eyes, you will no longer be blind to her intention. Whether it's a woman on a date, at work, or walking past you in a crowd, the eyes are the gateway to her present truth. The question is, are you present enough to see it? Number 2, read her laughs. Laughter is music, and like all music, it reveals something. When a woman laughs, you need to know, who is the laughter for? Is it for you, to draw you in, or is it for herself, a release from tension? There are laughs that seek connection, the ones that come too quickly or linger too long. There are laughs that mask discomfort, meant to smooth over awkwardness or to deflect vulnerability. And there are the rare, unguarded ones, Short bursts from the gut that escape her without calculation. Those are the ones that matter most. Every man has witnessed it at least once. A woman laughing so freely at his joke or story that her head tilts back slightly, her hands cover her mouth as if surprised at herself. That isn't about being entertained, it's about being seen, understood, relaxed. It's trust. But the laughs that follow every sentence you say, even when you're not being funny, that's not trust. That's placation. It's her telling you she's unsure or trying to make you feel something because she doesn't. Stoic wisdom teaches that your measure as a man is in how unmoved you are by flattery and undistracted by noise. A man who observes her laughter knows when it's an invitation and when it's an escape. Pay attention to context. If she laughs more when others are around, but less when it's just the two of you, ask yourself why. If she laughs but doesn't maintain eye contact while doing it, it might be habitual politeness, not genuine joy. When women use laughter in conversations, they're often doing one of three things: signaling openness, disarming tension, or avoiding emotional exposure. Don't get caught up in wanting to be funny. That's a trap. Be real, be still, and when your words do spark laughter, watch how it affects her energy. Does she lean in? Does her voice soften afterward? Does she open up more? These are signs of comfort and connection. The world will teach you to chase the sound of laughter as proof of charm, but true masculine energy doesn't chase validation. It reveals authenticity, and the woman who laughs honestly in your presence will speak more through her joy than through her lips. Read it, respect it, but don't rely on it as your worth. A Stoic knows, not every smile is sincere, and not every laugh is for him. Number 3. Notice delayed replies. In an age where messages are delivered in milliseconds and notifications are instant, time becomes a loud language. When a woman delays her response to your message, she's speaking, even if she hasn't typed a word. Don't rush to assumptions, but never ignore patterns. One late reply might mean she was busy. Several slow responses across multiple days. That's a signal you're not her priority. Ask yourself, is she replying late to everyone, or just you? Is she online often but never answers you until hours later? These aren't coincidences. They're decisions. They're reflections of how she values your time versus how you value hers. A man rooted in Stoic clarity doesn't plead for attention or wait anxiously by his phone. He sends a message, and if the response is delayed, he reads that as information, not rejection. The wise man watches behavior more than words. If she says she likes you but takes days to respond to a simple text, you don't need to confront her. You need to decide how much you value your own time. You see, time isn't just about availability. It's about investment. When a woman is drawn to you, your message becomes a moment she looks forward to. She may not be able to respond instantly every time, but the consistency will be there. She'll show consideration. But when her replies feel cold, forced, or systematically late, you're not a priority, you're a placeholder. And deep down, you know it. Stop making excuses for what's obvious. The longer you tolerate breadcrumbs, the more you tell her and yourself that this is acceptable. You deserve presence, not pressure. A woman who truly sees you will want to keep the thread of conversation alive, even if briefly. She'll ask, follow up, and reciprocate. The man who lives by Stoic discipline understands that he doesn't chase response. He attracts clarity. And if the message you receive in her delay is disinterest, you honor that truth by redirecting your energy where it is valued. Some delays are polite rejections in disguise. Others are emotional power plays. And some are simply signs she's not in a place to offer you what you're ready to give. Whatever it is, read it. Then move with purpose. Your attention is a currency. Spend it only where there is equal exchange. Number 4. Decode her silence. When a woman goes quiet in moments where you expect her to speak, respond, or react, it can trigger 100 thoughts in your mind. But the truth is, the absence of her words is not emptiness, it's filled with meaning. That moment when you've said something vulnerable and she just looks at you and says nothing. That's not just passivity, it's a filter. She's evaluating you, not judging in malice, but measuring how deeply you understand your own words. If a man confesses how lost he feels in relationships and she doesn't rush to comfort or fix, but simply breathes and waits, it's because she's watching to see whether he fills the gap with insecurity or strength. When she chooses not to reply to a specific comment or steers a conversation away from emotional depth, it's not random. It's protective. She may be guarding herself from truth, avoiding vulnerability, or even testing your ability to hold space without collapsing into emotional reaction. The worst mistake is assuming her quietness means disinterest. Often it's the opposite. It's attention wrapped in restraint. There's a particular moment some men experience in arguments or tense situations. You're trying to explain something important, but she just stares. Eyes fixed but unmoving, lips tight, body still. She's hearing every word. What she's not doing is making it easier for you to impress her with noise. In those moments, you reveal yourself more than you think. Do you get angry because you're not being validated? Do you retreat into passive frustration? Or do you remain steady, present, letting her pace decide when she's ready to speak? Because when you stop trying to pull words out of her and start letting her bring them when she's ready, you shift the power dynamic entirely. And this isn't about manipulation. This is about recognition, that in moments of withdrawal, she's expressing layers of thought, feeling, and calculation that she's not ready or willing to articulate. A Stoic doesn't rush her process. He recognizes that sometimes the deepest truths live in the moments between words. And when he holds his frame, still, grounded, calm, he creates the space where she feels safe enough to finally open up. Not because she was forced to, but because she chose to. And that's a victory no force can buy. When you learn to stop filling the void and start reading what's behind it, you graduate into a version of yourself who no longer fears the unknown, but finds wisdom in it. So next time she's quiet, ask yourself, what is being shown to me that isn't being said? Number 5. Track body orientation. Her words might charm, distract, or even mislead, but her body always tells the truth. Where she angles herself, where she shifts, how her feet and torso align, these are the real signals of attention, trust, and attraction. You may sit across from her in a restaurant, both smiling, both talking, and yet her body is turned slightly away, not from rudeness, but from unconscious self-preservation, or she may lean in without knowing it, face directly aligned with yours, eyes darting between your gaze and your mouth, signaling that what you're saying holds weight and interest. When a woman feels connected to a man, her body aligns in subtle but unmistakable ways. Her knees point toward him, even if her words are about something mundane. Her arms unfold, her posture softens, and the space between you begins to shrink, not just physically, but energetically. If you're at a social event and she keeps her body turned toward you, even while engaging with others, it's not about being polite. It's an instinctual tether, a non-verbal declaration that her attention is anchored. But watch closely for the subtle shifts. Does she tilt her head when you speak, exposing her neck slightly? That's trust. Does she angle her torso away while still engaging in conversation? That's emotional distance. These cues aren't about decoding her like a puzzle. They're about being present enough to notice. One of the most overlooked signals is what she does when you're not actively engaging her. Is she still oriented toward you when someone else is talking? Does her body retreat or relax when you enter the room? These unconscious movements reveal where her comfort lies. It's not in her words, it's in her orientation. Stoic philosophy teaches us to observe more than we speak, to act only when movement serves clarity. And in relationships, tracking orientation is a physical manifestation of emotional openness. When you speak truth, presence, and purpose into the space, her body responds, not because she wants to impress you, but because she trusts you. And that trust isn't earned through charm, it's earned through consistency. So next time you're with her, stop trying to impress. Just watch. Her body has been speaking the whole time. You just needed to listen with your eyes. Number 6. Spot testing games. Every man who's tried to lead in his relationships has encountered this. A sudden challenge out of nowhere, a sarcastic remark when things seem to be flowing smoothly, a tiny jab that doesn't fit the context. This isn't disrespect. It's a test, a psychological litmus test to see what lies beneath your surface calm. Women don't test because they're manipulative. They test because they want to know what parts of you are real. When she challenges your opinion, interrupts you mid-thought with a smirk, or asks questions that don't seem to matter, she's not being playful. She's drawing out your edges. Are you grounded in your perspective, or will you scramble to be agreeable? Are you calm under critique, or do you crumble when questioned? These moments are where your value is quietly measured, not in the words you say, but in your reaction to resistance. Stoicism teaches that no external opinion should move the man who knows himself. These tests are opportunities to live that principle. You may be on a date, and she suddenly says, "Are you always this serious?" It's a challenge, not an insult. It's an inquiry into whether your energy is authentic or performative. Or she may flirt with someone else lightly in your presence, not because she wants him, but because she wants to see if you spiral or stay centered. If she says, "You're probably like every other guy," and you rush to defend your uniqueness, you've failed the test. Not because you're not unique, but because you reacted with insecurity. The men who pass these tests are the ones who remain still in their self-respect. They don't argue for their worth, they live it. When she challenges you, she is hoping, sometimes unconsciously, that you are strong enough to hold your center and not react emotionally. Women crave depth, and depth isn't measured in romantic gestures. It's measured in emotional gravity. If you can stand in your truth without folding to pressure, without trying to fix how she perceives you, you give her what few can: security in your presence. Testing isn't the enemy, it's the filter. It reveals the man who leads with steadiness from the one who leads with image. She doesn't want you to be perfect. She wants to see if you're consistent when tested. And when you can read the test and respond with calm, grounded presence, you win more than her attention. You earn her respect. Number 7. Gauge her jealousy. Jealousy isn't always explosive or dramatic. In fact, the most telling kind is subtle, controlled, and often disguised as indifference. And that's where most men miss it, because they're watching for the loud reactions instead of tuning into the undercurrents. When a woman feels a connection to you, whether she's admitted it to herself or not, her body and energy will react when she sees you connect, even momentarily, with another woman. It could be the shift in her posture when your phone lights up with a notification from another female name, even if she pretends not to notice. It might be the micro-expression of irritation she masks with a half-smile when you mention a female friend or colleague. If you've ever had a conversation with her about someone else and noticed her suddenly disengage, eyes dropping for a beat, her tone flattening slightly, that's not boredom, it's inner conflict. She's recalibrating her emotional expectations, reassessing her perceived position in your attention hierarchy, and sometimes she'll go a step further. not by expressing jealousy outright, but by mirroring it. She might bring up another man in casual conversation, describe someone else's attention toward her, or subtly highlight her desirability, not to hurt you, but to equalize the perceived imbalance. These moments aren't manipulations. They're signals that she cares enough to compare, enough to notice, enough to try to reclaim psychological space. But here's the wisdom. How you respond to her jealousy speaks more than how you spot it. If you become defensive, dismissive, or use it as leverage, you shift the dynamic from connection to competition. But if you hold your frame, acknowledge her unspoken emotional investment, and lead with steadiness, you validate without submission. That's where strength lives. Stoic principles teach that a man must be the calm within the chaos, not to ignore the storm, but to remain rooted through it. So, when you notice these signs of jealousy, don't jump to accusations or analysis. Instead, read them for what they are, unfiltered expressions of emotional attachment. If you treat those signals with clarity and care, you turn emotional reaction into relational depth. Because at its core, jealousy isn't about the threat. It's about the value she places on you, the fear of losing what she hasn't fully claimed. And when a woman fears losing your presence, she's revealing the magnitude of your impact. Are you strong enough to recognize that without being arrogant? Are you wise enough to lead with presence, not ego? Number 8. Read her compliments. Words are tools, and women have mastered their use in ways that most men underestimate. When a woman compliments you, especially early on, you must pay attention, not to the words themselves, but to the intent behind them. A comment like, "You're really different from other guys," sounds flattering, but what does it really mean? Is it a genuine observation, or is it a statement shaped to gauge your reaction, to see if you'll puff your chest or downplay your value? Compliments are often layered. They carry meaning beyond the surface. When she tells you she likes how you think, or that you seem emotionally intelligent, or that you're safe, don't just absorb the praise, decode the framework she's building around you. Is she romanticizing you, projecting expectations, or truly recognizing your depth? There's a world of difference. The man who is grounded doesn't rely on external praise for internal validation. He hears the compliment but listens deeper. Why now? Why this specific quality? And how does it fit into the narrative she's crafting around this connection? If she praises your looks often but avoids acknowledging your ideas, she's signaling what she values or what she thinks you want to hear. If she focuses on your energy, your stability, your character, she's showing alignment beyond surface-level appeal. And sometimes, a compliment is a prelude to vulnerability. When she says, "I feel safe around you," she's not just admiring your emotional restraint. She's letting you know she's been hurt by chaos before, and your presence is a contrast she finds herself drawn to. Stoic living teaches that truth is layered beneath perception. The man who lives by that knows that every compliment is a glimpse into her psychology. He doesn't gloat, he reflects. He doesn't overanalyze, but he also doesn't take words at face value. He receives, filters, and stores the data. Because when a woman is genuinely invested, her compliments come with depth. They feel less like decoration and more like discovery. They are about how she sees you, not just what she wants from you, and those are the ones you listen to, not to feed your ego, but to align with your integrity. Because the most powerful compliment isn't the loudest. It's the one that touches on the truth you already know about yourself and choose to live regardless of whether she sees it or not. Number 9. Observe social mirroring. Mirroring is one of the most profound, yet subtle signals of subconscious connection, and once you learn to spot it, you'll never unsee it. When a woman begins to mirror your tone, your words, your gestures, even the rhythm of your speech. What you're witnessing is a primal alignment. It's not manipulation, it's resonance. You've been in conversations where, without realizing, you lean back and moments later she does too. You cross your legs, and seconds later she mirrors the posture. These aren't random acts. They're indications that her nervous system, consciously or not, is syncing with yours, and it doesn't stop at physical gestures. Emotional mirroring happens too. If you use specific phrases, and she adopts them, not in mocking but in genuine usage, it shows psychological rapport. When your tempo slows and hers follows, when your emotional cadence shifts and she tracks along with it, it's not coincidence, it's connection. Most men miss this because they're busy talking, performing, seeking validation. But the grounded man observes. He listens. He watches for synchronicity. Stoic teachings remind us that strength lies in awareness, in stillness. When a woman mirrors you, she is revealing that you've created a rhythm she feels safe enough to join. That safety isn't born of charm, it's born of consistency, presence, authenticity. You do not demand the mirror, you become it, and you lead. When you raise the frequency of the conversation from surface-level banter to depth, and she follows, when you transition from humor to honesty, and her tone adjusts without resistance, she's aligning because she trusts the space you're creating. But mirroring also reveals disinterest when it's absent. If your energy is light and expressive, but she remains closed, distant, non-reflective, it's not shyness, it's disconnect. Emotional echo is not about trying to match, it's about wanting to. And when a woman wants to, you feel it without needing to ask. So next time you're in her presence, forget the words for a second. Look at the movement. Listen to the rhythm. Observe the echo. She's telling you everything you need to know, not in statements, but in sync. And when you're aligned with your own truth, you'll begin to notice that the people who are meant to connect will always show you, not by declaration, but by reflection. Number 10. Listen to what she doesn't say. There's a kind of message that doesn't come through words, and it's one that most men miss because they're trained to hear what's loud and clear, but ignore what's quiet and deep. A woman who speaks less about her past but pauses too long when asked about it isn't being mysterious for charm. It's a reflection of experiences too complex to sum up in casual conversation. She might say she's fine when she isn't, not because she wants to deceive, but because she's been taught that expressing certain truths leads to disconnection, not connection. If she skips over parts of her life story or changes topics when something hits too close, that's not avoidance, it's protection. Think back. Have you ever noticed her change the subject when a certain place or person is mentioned, or hesitate when you ask what she values in a relationship? That hesitation is loaded with meaning. In that breath of restraint lies everything she hasn't yet decided you're ready to hear. And that's where awareness is power. Not power over her, but power within you to meet her where she is. The man who listens not just to the words, but to the spaces between them sees things most others never will. If she never talks about her father, or only references her past relationships in jokes, you are being handed puzzle pieces. How you handle them defines what comes next. Stoic thought reminds us that we don't need to dissect people to understand them. We only need to remain still long enough for their truth to rise. Don't demand explanations, observe patterns. If she changes tone when discussing commitment, if her energy drops when speaking about trust, she's not asking for you to fix her. She's asking to feel safe. When you listen to what she doesn't say, you begin to hear the full story. The losses that still linger, the hopes hidden under casual tones, the questions she's too tired to ask again. The depth of a woman is not in her ability to articulate, it's in her choice to eventually share what matters, And that choice often depends on your consistency, not your curiosity. So listen, not just with ears, but with presence. She is always speaking. The question is, are you available to receive her? Number 11. Track her effort. There's a truth that most men deny because it forces them to confront the imbalance they've silently tolerated. Effort is a mirror, and a woman who values you shows it, not through big gestures or public praise, but in consistent, small, often unspoken contributions. Think about it. Who initiates the plans? Who checks in first after days apart? Who remembers what matters to you and finds ways to weave it into everyday moments? These aren't grand declarations, they're emotional investments. If you always message first, always plan the dates, always lead every meaningful interaction, and she simply receives, then you're not building a relationship, you're auditioning. Effort reveals emotional availability. When a woman sends you a message just to say she thought about you, when she brings up something you said weeks ago, when she offers help without being asked, you are not just being acknowledged, you are being emotionally prioritized. And this doesn't require drama. A woman folding your shirt differently because she noticed your habits is showing care. A woman asking how your day went and actually listening is offering presence. And when these things are missing, it's not that she's just not expressive, it's that she's not invested. The harsh truth is that people make time for what they value. She doesn't have to move mountains, but if she won't move a moment of her schedule to show up for you in ways that matter, then you must ask yourself why you're still investing. Stoic practice tells us to measure what is within our control, and effort is one of those indicators that never lies. When you stop making excuses for someone's emotional absence and start honoring your own worth, you free yourself from relationships that drain more than they give. Tracking her effort doesn't mean scoring points, it means reading alignment. If she meets you halfway, or even just shows the desire to try, there's foundation. But if every act of care feels one-sided, you are not in a bond, you're in a performance. And no man should have to prove he's worthy of basic emotional presence. Know this, the woman who sees your value doesn't need to be reminded of it. She shows up because she wants to, and if she never does, that truth alone is enough. Number 12, see how she leaves. How someone exits your life says more than how they entered it. And in relationships, whether short-term or long-standing, the departure holds more clarity than 100 declarations. The woman who disappears without explanation, who ghosted after weeks of connection, or who shut the door emotionally long before saying goodbye, isn't just showing avoidance. She's revealing the true level of investment she had all along. And yet, this isn't about bitterness. It's about recognition. Some women leave quietly because they never felt fully seen. Others leave dramatically because the emotional disconnection ran too deep. But the man who watches how she exits learns everything he needs to know. Did she communicate honestly? Did she offer closure, even if it hurt? Or did she vanish, leaving behind questions, doubts, and emotional wreckage? If she gave no explanation, no accountability, no signal that you mattered in the end, then she likely never planned to stay. That truth is heavy, but freeing. Because once you learn that real love doesn't disappear without dignity, you stop chasing those who didn't value your presence in the first place. There's a moment in every man's life when he watches a woman walk away and wants to fix, explain, or pursue. But the Stoic path reminds us that not every ending needs an extension. Some closures are invitations to rebuild, not with her, but within yourself. The woman who leaves with grace, even when it's hard, even when you both still feel something, is honoring what was real. The one who leaves with silence, cruelty, or indifference is honoring her own escape, not the connection. So see how she leaves. Not to blame, but to learn. Not to shame, but to grow. Because every exit is feedback, and once you see clearly, you will never again beg someone to stay. You'll understand that love without mutual regard is not love, it's dependency. And the man who watches the exit without chasing is the one who reclaims his dignity. Every woman who walks away leaves behind more than absence. She leaves behind a reflection. Use it. You've just unlocked what most men go their entire lives blind to. Truths that live beneath words, beneath assumptions, beneath every failed connection you've ever had. And now that you see it, you can't unsee it. The world you've been stumbling through, filled with confusion, misread signals, wasted energy chasing what was never real, can finally make sense. But insight alone isn't enough. You need structure. You need discipline. You need a guide you can return to when life gets noisy and the emotions of others start to blur your focus. This is why I'm creating the Stoic Relationship Blueprint. It's not just an ebook. It's the answer to everything you were never taught about women, love, leadership, and being a man in a society that punishes your strength and mocks your struggle. You've felt it, how you're expected to have all the answers while being given none, to stay strong through heartbreak, to stay silent through pain, to give endlessly and receive crumbs. That ends now. Comment Blueprint if you can't wait for the ebook and want to get it the very moment it drops. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel